You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network. Visit pencilandpaperproductions.podbean.com to find more great podcasts.
Welcome to the Palace of Megapixels. This is Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo. I'm your host, Stephen White. With me, as always, is my co-host, Lacey Finley.
Oh, happy Monday. How are you?
I'm all right. It's cold again. You remember what, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, you
maybe
were in
even
the
last
70s.
week?
It was all gorgeous.
Yeah, had a tank top on and everything.
Yeah.
Now I'm sitting in here in a coat, or, well, not a coat, but you know what I mean.
Well,
a hoodie.
A hoodie, a jacket, or whatever you call it.
Yeah. It was very cold. I forgot to turn the heat on last night because, it was warm when I went to bed.
Right?
Or at least it felt warm.
Yeah.
I hate this weather.
We
And
were
then
in the 40s, so it felt like downright balmy.
Oh.
Yeah. I went out and took a little walk yesterday. Just sweatshirt. I was like, it's getting a little warm.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing what you can acclimate to.
Yeah. So, what about that WandaVision thing, huh?
So good. So good. I'm very happy. I'm happy.
I'm glad you are. I am too. I know that some people are not.
Whatever. Like, it was meant to be a one and done thing from what I understand. Spoilers, I guess. Spoilers.
Yeah.
But I thought, like, there was no, like, it wrapped everything up for me. It was a nice, neat little bow. They finished their story. Like, come on. I think it was very well done.
I think the problem is that you had all these fans of the MCU who were expecting for all these little branches and Easter eggs and plot threads to carry on to other movies and other projects. They might. I think that's the one thing they're forgetting.
Yeah.
They might.
Like,
But I think they were looking for something larger. Like somebody expected Doctor Strange to show up because they said Sorcerer Supreme. Doctor Strange go show up.
Hints at the end and everything. But like, then take it. Why can't people be happy? Why are you poo-pooing on your own thing you like, people?
Because for 8 weeks prior, they had this idea, a vision, if you will, about what they wanted to happen, and it didn't go the way they wanted it to. Therefore, they have to be disappointed.
I think I'm in the best position possible because I set myself up for no expectations for this. And so it was completely, wonderfully complete in my eyes.
Well, what I prefer, or what I like to do, or at least I like the way that my brain is operating on this, is that each week I don't know why I couldn't even say that. Expectations.
Words are hard in the morning.
That's a hard word to say.
Expectation.
Expectations changed based on the information I was given.
Sure.
So I assumed I kind of figured out, like, 'cause we all thought that someone was pulling the strings. And then, the farther and farther it got in, it's like, no, wait a second.
Right.
Maybe not. And clearly, no one was.
No one was, yeah.
So it was just always shifting what my expectations were based on the information I was given. So I was like, well, I guess this is it. But I wasn't disappointed. Like you said, they wrapped everything up nice and neat.
And I think keeping you guessing is good writing, right?
Sure. Like the one big thing that I know I heard people were mad about was the whole fake Pietro thing.
Oh.
And it's not what they wanted, because that meant that he was from the other thing and he's supposed to be in this, and it's all supposed to come together now, and now that can't happen.
That lent itself to the mirage.
Right. It's a misdirect, a red herring, if you will.
Yeah. Okay, whatever. Are you guys just mad you were duped, but that's not what they were doing. They were just trying to keep you guessing and enjoying a show, so you didn't know what was coming.
Oh yeah.
Oh, people, I swear.
Well, one thing that I did kind of think about is there were questions abound through a video that I watched from guys who actually did not hate it, but they were just kind of suggesting certain things. And they were talking about certain plot threads. And one plot thread in particular that they brought up that completely went, like I'd forgotten about it, and I'm sure a lot of other people did, is if you remember, I think in episode 4, when they actually went on the outside and we were starting to understand what was going on, you remember that Jimmy Woo was in the area of Westview looking for a missing person. But they never did specify who that was. Now, it could be something, just like a plot device to explain why he's there.
Right.
But this being Marvel, something tells me that is a plot thread they will come back around to at some point. Doesn't mean it will be soon.
Right.
But it'll just be something, a little seed planted. It's like, hey, we're going to come back to that at some point. But not right now. And we're not going to explain it. So I don't know what that means or who it would be. I have no theories, but it was just, okay, I didn't think about that, but you're right. He was there for a reason.
Right.
Who was he looking for?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't Wanda. It clearly wasn't Wanda.
No, yeah.
And he wouldn't have been looking for Vision because that wasn't,
Yeah.
that's not his
At that
department.
point, they were thinking,
Yeah. So,
interesting. I say trust the system, man. Like,
Yeah.
they've done really well with the MCU, so I don't think anything's by accident.
No. Everything that they have done, there's a through line.
There's
So,
going to be more, I think. It'll probably be another movie. Like, they're blending TV, movies, all this stuff. Like, it's kind of fantastic. I mean, yeah.
It was a great way to tell that story because I don't think you could have done that story in 2 hours.
No.
Now, I know that you embellish it with the TV tropes and everything, but we got to experience those for longer periods versus she's going to be in the 50s for 20 minutes, and then we're going to shift to the 70s for like 15, and then bounce around. No, we got to really embellish it for...
And flesh out that idea. And it was great. Loved it. I don't know, people. Don't poo-poo on a thing you love. Find the good stuff.
But they want everything to connect. And
Why are you getting yourself all mad? Why are you forcing yourself to hate a thing you like? I don't know.
Because it's not what they wanted. I was perfectly satisfied with where they left it. Even the plot threads that they gave us for future projects, like the 2 end credit scenes, I'm like, okay.
Right? I almost missed one. Because after one end credit scene, I just turned it off. And then I was reading something on Twitter and I was like, wait, what scene are they talking about? And then I went back and sure enough, I'm sorry. That'll be my beef. Stop with the end credit scenes. Just put it in the freaking show.
But then,
especially when you have a
12
12-minute freaking credits. Like, come on. And in Disney Plus, their frame by frame is always like 30 seconds behind. So come on. Help us out. It's that's my complaint. I hate end credit scenes. I just want to know, just put it on at the end and be done with it so people aren't missing stuff. Like, I don't want to sit through 6 minutes and 8s. They all deserve love and praise, but I don't know any of them.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you this. Here's a great way to know if you're going to get an end credit scene.
Oh, okay.
Or at least this was something that I noticed with this last episode at least.
Okay.
Because I had stuck around. I assumed there would be a mid-credits, but I wasn't sure about the end credit.
Right.
So they got through the main focal credit scene with all the graphics and everything like that, and then they kicked in the mid-credit scene rolled, and then they went to the other credits. And then I was watching it, and there's a certain point in which the screen will start suggesting, hey, why don't you watch this thing? Since you watched this, why don't you watch this thing? But it wasn't happening. And I was like, wait a second. They're not suggesting anything for me to watch.
Right.
So they want me to stick around.
Like there was no cliffhanger.
Right.
So, and I guess if you think with the MCU, there probably will always be some sort of hook, eh?
Especially the last thing, like with
Yeah.
what was it, Falcon and the Winter Soldier that starts in 2 weeks. That I don't know at what point, like if there will be. I doubt there's going to be mid-credit scenes for the initial 4 or 5. I think it's a 6-episode run, if I'm not mistaken, and these are going to be like hour-long-ish episodes. But that last one, that's where we'll get our, big plot thread and mid-credit scenes and all that stuff. And
Okay.
I'm not even sure what people are expecting with that. Like me personally, I'm just looking for like a espionage action
Yeah.
thriller type, because I'm not expecting like big superhero action or magic or whatever, like completely opposite spectrum of WandaVision.
Sure.
This
That's
is-
fine. I'm
yeah.
for it.
Oh yeah,
I'm
for sure.
it. I'm here for him. Like I've been saying, I never really read the comics or anything, but the MCU is fun.
Oh yeah.
So I'm here for him, and I'm enjoying them. And
I'd say-
apparently a lot more than those who are fans of them. Apparently,
I've
I'm enjoying it more.
I've actually heard that there are instances. Now I don't know if this is. I mean, you've watched all of the movies, maybe.
I wouldn't say I've watched all of them, but
Okay.
the ones I've wanted to, for sure. There's some
All right.
heroes in there, but
Well, from what I'm hearing, and this is not just from one source but several, is that WandaVision opened the door for people who've never really watched those movies. So you may be watching with a partner that, has never really been into it, but you have, and then they watch WandaVision and is like, well, what's this? Or what's that? And they'll be like, well, let me introduce you to this.
right
And now they are
Ooh, good
going
point.
back and watching these movies
Yeah.
and getting the other plot threads and just creating new fans. All because this is a unique
Yeah.
situation to kind of introduce them to it. And it's like, okay, well, this has got my attention.
Right. No, I think that's a great idea. No, the movies
Yeah.
are fun. The movies are fun. I want to say I've seen most of all of them. There's probably like a random few here or there that I just hadn't. And people hate me talking about it because then I'll accidentally like mix in a DC one or something, and then oh my god, how irate people get when you mix up DC and Marvel. So I just go shh.
And just remember, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Big 3 DC.
Ooh, that's better. Big 3 DC: Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman.
Big 3 DC.
I know Batman is just because the Hubs is a big fan of Batman, so I will never forget where Batman goes. But the rest of them are very interchangeable in my head.
And another way to really kind of look at it from what kind of hero it is, if it almost has like a godlike status, $10 is DC. If it's
okay.
a very human character, most definitely Marvel. Outside of now, I'll say Batman. I know he's human,
Right.
but think of him like
The
I don't know.
ally
He's
or-
the anti. You're gonna if you remember Superman, you remember Batman, and vice versa.
Sure.
And Wonder Woman. I mean, it's big 3 DC.
Big 3 DC. That's actually more helpful instead of me going, hold on, let me look it up real quick while we're in the middle of a conversation. Marvel, I guess, is easier because they've had the more movies. And so I was just like, oh, yeah, Ant-Man. Oh, yeah, it's Doctor Strange. Oh, yeah, so like.
You know what's real fascinating about that, and I don't. I guess maybe you have to have failures to have success, and maybe that's what did it. If you go back and look at the long history of Marvel movies and DC, they both had those World War II serials, Superman, Captain America, and they are what they are. And then at some point we hit, like, I guess Superman the movie with Christopher Reeve. And I know we had Superman the TV show at
We've
one
had a
point,
lot
but
of
I'm going to
iterations
use
of Superman, yeah.
yeah. I'm gonna use that movie as a basis. So that comes out and it's a huge hit. Okay. And at this point in time, there was no Marvel movie made of any of their characters. We had TV shows, like they were dabbling. And of
Okay.
course, they were all terrible with the exception of the Incredible Hulk, which for whatever reason worked.
That was a hit, yeah, for a while. I remember watching that too as a kid.
Yeah, exactly. It was fascinating
Yeah,
for
yeah.
whatever reason. You just wanted to see.
Right, yeah. And just the special effects for that day, you were like, "What?
Yeah,
They
whoa.
do that. They just found a really buff dude, Lou
Mm-hmm.
Ferrigno. We love you."
So they had that, and then a few hit movies after that, and then Batman came along, and about a decade later with Tim Burton's Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Oh
and
wow,
then
yeah.
that became kind of a hit. Marvel still wasn't like the movies that they were doing, or the movies that were being made they were terrible. Like in 1990, if I'm not mistaken, I'm almost positive I'm right about this. So let's just say around the time Batman hit the scene, they made a Captain America movie in the 90s, and it was horrid. Okay?
Okay.
The Captain America suit looked like it should, but it was plastic. It had plastic ears. Plastic ears.
Was it for 90s TV, though? Because I feel like they all
No.
kind of...
No, this was meant to be theatrical, which...
Oh.
Or maybe it was made for video. I don't know. It wasn't made for TV.
Because I just know that they used to not do as many effects and stuff because they just understood the limitations of, like, standard definition. So they just didn't do as much sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I've tried to defend this movie, and farther down the road it goes, and I watch it, I'm just like, no. I just didn't get it clearly. So, but at some point, there was this shift of tides, because Marvel movies started coming out, and I'm not saying that all the X-Men stuff were good, but it's like they started coming out. There were hits and misses, like they were trying to find their footing, trying to find everything, and then the MCU started, and then it started to go on the, up in quality and greatness. And then DC movies, they just... And I know there are fans. My God, I know there are fans. Don't
I
at
liked
me.
some of those too. Or maybe for me, maybe I need to look around more. I feel like they just hit that same people. And maybe Marvel's just done better at branching out and exploring all the other characters and putting them in movies and things like that. Where and I could be wrong, like I said, since I'm not a huge fan, but I feel like it's always Batman, it's always Superman, it's always like those same characters, and then we have to retell their story every like 4 or 5 years with a new cast, and there's got to be more characters interesting to dive into, I would assume. So let's try exploring something new, maybe.
That's why I actually love their animated stuff, because for whatever reason, if I was to compare Marvel's animated stuff to DC's animated stuff, DC's killing it.
Yeah.
Like the stuff that they've put out and the movies that they've produced, I mean, it's just solid stuff. Even series they did back in the 2000s, like Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, and that led into Justice League.
They did that Harley Quinn one too. That was kind of dark, right? That was good. That was really good.
solid.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, the animated stuff, they can just, like, they nail it. But beyond that, it's just like, I don't know. Because like you said, they hinge on these characters, and they don't give anybody else a chance to shine. Like, I'm so glad that we finally got a Shazam movie, an Aquaman. But where's the other one? Hell, we should have had a Flash movie before now.
True.
And that just seems to be somewhere, but we don't know. Speaking of which, I know we're talking. I know, video
guys,
games. Damn it,
and
we'll
it's
get there.
fine actually, because there's only like 3 real big pieces of news, like huge, and then a bunch of crickets. So. It?
You do. I do want to talk about this one thing. Then I'm going to mention one other thing, and then we'll get to the other stuff. But while we're on the DC stuff, I started watching Superman and Lois, which is a new show they have on the CW.
Oh yeah, they're reviving that.
I'm really digging it because they're exploring an element of Superman we've not really seen.
Okay.
Superman as a father.
Oh, okay. See, I think that's why I liked Ben Affleck's Batman. People, I don't like. It was a different phase of the life that we.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, interesting. This is already on CW.
Yeah. So now this, I guess you could say this kind of branches from the Supergirl series that was on the network, because the guy playing Superman and the woman playing Lois, it's the two actors that were on there. Now, are they still connected? I don't know. I would assume they've kind of far removed themselves to be like, we were there, yes, but we're gonna move over here for right now. Plus, the timeline would make more sense that it's kind of a little bit farther in the future from last we saw them on Supergirl, because they have grown-ass sons, or at least teenage sons. So, understandably, we get it. But the idea is, Superman and Lois, they've been living a life. They're now parents. They've got 2 twin sons, Jonathan and Jordan, and they're just trying to live life in Metropolis, but his sons don't know he's Superman.
Ooh, interesting.
And
they're grown. Interesting.
Yeah. And there is always that fear they've had in the back of their heads. What if they develop powers?
Sure.
Because we don't know how the physiology works.
Yeah, the genetics.
So they situate it like that. So Superman's still doing Superman stuff. Lois is trying to get her, trying to do Lois stuff at the planet.
She's doing her.
Doing all her stuff. World. But then a new threat comes into the world. And then, this is not a spoiler. This is pretty much what kind of kicks off how the series is going to progress. His mother dies. Clark's mother dies.
Okay.
Like Martha Kent. Martha!
I was going to say, is that new news or whatever? I don't know anymore.
So Martha dies, and then that was kind of like his last remnant on Earth. Like if he couldn't figure stuff out, like as a parent, he's like, Mom, what do I do? What do I do? Mm-hmm. He doesn't have that anymore. So now he's going to have to figure this out on his own. And I don't want to say anything if anyone wants to go check it out, but it's just, it's very fascinating because this is not something we've actually seen.
Right.
And I like that. This is an element of his life that they have introduced in the comics, which I haven't really read, but it's a fascinating aspect of his life, and they're doing it so well. Like, what do you do? Especially in this day and age, what do you do with boys who, are they just going to be like, whoa, my dad's Superman, yay! No, these are teenage
or just
boys.
Take off and fly, and you never know where your kids are again. Yeah.
And will they have powers? Won't they have powers? I assume both of them will have powers.
I feel like that's the only way it would stay interesting, but...
But to what degree?
Because then we're just like watching a regular TV sitcom then with the kids, if nothing super is happening.
Right. I feel like both of them will have powers, but I don't think they will be... I think it would be fascinating if they gave them split powers. Like maybe this one over here is strong and maybe has heat vision, and this one over here can fly, but he's maybe indestructible. I don't know. I think it would be kind of cool.
Something else.
Yeah.
Mixing with the human gene.
Mm-hmm. We'll see.
Which I would instantly say makes it worse, but
Sure. But if you don't have the CW, you can watch it on the CW app for free. So
I was just gonna say I forgot that they don't charge for theirs, do they? Or are they trying to yet?
You do the ads and stuff like that. So if you don't mind watching ads, I actually, you know what? I don't want to get off on a tangent on this because clearly we've been on one for 30 minutes. I actually realized the other day that I kind of sort of miss commercials, mainly because it gives me, like, if I want to take a break, need to run to the restroom or something like that, I don't have to just pause. I can just wait until commercial and then run to the bathroom and come back. And I was like, you know what? I don't mind a commercial every now and again now, I guess.
CW app, though. The one thing I have to say is their commercials will break quite often, and you have to restart it, and then they don't remember that you just watched it, and you get stuck in that trap.
Yeah.
So that's my beef with their commercials. Like sometimes I find I'm watching more commercials than show because I'll get stuck in that loop where their commercial breaks. I'm like, you want your own streaming service? You need to figure this out.
I'm really surprised they haven't.
It's free, and I'm not wanting to use it.
Yeah, no, I noticed that the other day too, watching Superman and Lois. It just seemed like frequent commercial breaks. And I was like, didn't we just do this?
Mm-hmm. Like they do it a lot. and it's not stable. So if you have to refresh, it won't remember it started. And you'll be starting that commercial all over again. And then you got to jump to where you were, and they're going to kick that commercial all over again. You're like, son of a just want to watch the show.
One other thing.
Yeah.
Coming to America 2.
Yes.
Or Coming to America. Did you watch that?
I have not. I wasn't
are you a
super
fan?
excited for it. Right. Yeah. I'm happy for other people, but yeah, it wasn't anything that was even on my radar.
So did you not watch? Do you not remember the original?
Very little.
Really?
Like I kind of remember the premise, but yeah, very little. I'm
okay,
sorry.
so now that idea of it being a cult movie is starting to make sense, because for me, it's always been there.
Yeah.
Like that was a movie.
I remember it. It was fine.
but see, I always kind of thought it was a popular movie. But if
Yeah.
you're telling me that it was just like something you kind of remember, maybe saw once, because I'd heard someone mention it as a cult classic, and I'm like, cult classic? I said, what are you talking about? This is I thought everybody loved this movie. I thought everybody had seen this movie. And it just kind of took me aback. And now that this came out, and I guess people are starting to discover it, I was like, where have I just been living in this cult status world?
I was totally aware of the original movie and knew it had happened and all that kind of stuff. I just, when I saw that they were making another one, I was just like, oh, okay. And that was the extent of my excitement. Yeah.
It's fascinating. No. I'm
not
knocking
against it.
No, and I'm not knocking
might
you
be
for not
fantastic.
knowing it. It's just
Blowing
in
your
my
mind.
head. Like in my head, I thought everybody knew this movie. Like that, I thought it was that popular.
It is how I feel sometimes when I mention Bruce Campbell to a stranger and they're like, who? And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
How do you not? But yeah. Well,
But I grew up on this movie, and I know I probably, because the original was R. And this one's not, by the way, which I thought was kind of an interesting
times have
choice.
changed, maybe. We don't
Yeah.
care as much.
Well, I mean, I think
They
it
don't
makes
have to throw a white person in this one. We're allowed in 2021.
But there was a white person.
Was it still Louis?
Yeah, he was
Okay.
back.
Well, I mean,
Which is
that's
fine.
fair, though. He was in the original.
Yeah, it was fine. But where was I going with this?
Sorry, I don't know. I derailed
no.
you. It was a
did.
cult classic. You were surprised when you found out people didn't really know about it. It came out.
I'm gone. I'm lost.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
It's my
You
fault.
you knocked me off the
I
track, and now
derailed
I'm falling. Well, oh yeah, R-rated, PG-13.
Oh, that's
yeah.
right.
I mean, there really wasn't a need for it. Like in the first one, I kind of understood, because you're supposed to kind of be pushing that concept of, New York, and everybody's got an attitude and all that stuff like that. And then, of course, we don't spend as much time in New York in this one, because it's more about his home, not New York. So it makes a little bit more sense to kind of tone it down. And it didn't make the movie any less funny for me.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to watch this movie, I recommend watching the first one first, because I won't say that there are a lot of things that they put in there as like, you have to know this to understand this joke, but there are little hints of things that if you know the first movie, you see it, and it just makes it that much better. You're just like, that's awesome. That's awesome.
The throwback fun. Yeah.
But Leslie Jones was by far the best part of that movie. She was freaking
nice.
hilarious. Like that was my takeaway from that movie. The movie is great, but she was like the person who had me cracking up the most.
Was she in it a lot?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She was in it a good amount. It wasn't just like a cameo, like, oh, I'm
I
here.
love
and then
her,
I'm
but
gone.
she's small doses for me. It
No, she was
yelling a lot, and okay. So.
She wasn't the yelling type in this.
Okay.
She was just energetic, like, oh yeah.
Because I do like her, but like an hour-long special, you got to prepare.
All right, I'm gonna spoil.
We're derailing.
I know. All right, I'm gonna say one joke out of the movie that she cracked me up with, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
So they're sitting around at a dinner table. This is like after they got to Zamunda, and they're trying to acclimate. If you've seen the trailer, Akeem has a son, and that's the whole kind of purpose here, is he's bringing his son back home to become prince of the kingdom or whatever. and they're trying to acclimate everybody, the family, and get to know each other. And they're sitting around, and they were talking about something. And Leslie Jones is just like, "Yo, we're gonna talk about these black mashed potatoes." And then her son says, "Whoa, Mom, that's caviar." And she's like, "Oh, man, I got a cousin named Caviar." Just had to see it. Cracked me up. I loved it.
I'm sure it's just very well timed because she's great.
Yeah. Timing's not good because I'm just repeating it. Sometimes I can do it.
But
I've only seen it once. What have you been playing?
What have I been playing? So I did more Do Not Feed the Monkeys this week because I realized it was randomly generated and I wanted to see more of the stories. And I recommend it. It's a fun little game. I found a few more stories. Unfortunately, though, when it randomly generates, I start getting a lot of the same ones, which means I can close the case out pretty fast and discover different ways that I could end it. But there's only one thing I'm going to try, if I have the patience for it, mind you.
Okay.
Is actually not feeding the monkeys on a playthrough, which I would imagine would just be me taking care of, my rent situation, my food and my health and stuff, but never interacting with the screens. And I'm just wondering if that does its own achievement or gets like a different ending if you like actually play by quote unquote the one rule that you're given when you are watching these surveillance cameras. So, because it's hard to not interact is kind of the whole point. But yep. I'm wondering, I already know how some of them's fate would end up, but because some of them you do kind of have to get done rather quickly, but the rest of them, it just kind of hangs out. So if I have the patience to do it, I'm going to do that. I might just let my character sleep the whole time so I could fast track time and see if that does anything. But, and then I started one called Paradise Killer, which was,
I did want to ask you about that because that's in my wish list, and there was a reason I added it there. So please, continue. I'm sorry.
So I've only played it for a couple of hours because I started it later one night, so I still have to go back to it. But yeah, it's like, and I actually think you might dig it. It's not that I would give it Ace Attorney vibes, but the fact that you are on it like an investigative mystery. It is more of a an interactive. I don't know how you would really call it, where it's mostly dialogue. And then you will get, how you want to interview people as you meet the different characters along the way. The art style is pretty cool, where it almost looks like a very colorful, futuristic vibe. But like the characters almost look like little paper dolls until you talk to them. And then it turns into like the novel scene where, their characters HD it up front, and then you've got the dialogue to read and the choices to make. So as far as I've just kind of started getting into the meat of what I'm about to do, because the first beginning, setting up the story, you're like this god and you were banished, and the big murder happens and you were the only one that could help solve this, because that was your job as the god on this island, on Paradise Island, because these gods create these islands, and then when they're done with it, they're and then they move on to make a better island. And so I've just now gotten to the point where I've started interrogating some people, like actually going around the island and trying to find evidence of what happened. So if you like those kinds, it is, some people are weird about having to read their video games. That's the only reason why I like to put that out, because you're reading your video game. There is voice acting, there is other things to do, but the bulk of it is reading it. But I like it so far. Right. I just have to get into it a little bit more to 2 hours. That might be about how much I've put into it. But yeah, if you're into those kind of investigative crime thriller, read your video game kind of thing, I think you'd dig it. But I haven't gotten into the meat of it enough yet to really know what's all gonna happen, or the different kind of mechanics. They do have some puzzles, which was weird. I did have to decode, I guess, a message, but it was all symbols, and so you had to like match the picture to decode the words or whatever. So that was weird. And very easy. But again, we'll see how that progresses as I go on. But
okay.
Yeah. Interesting.
Okay.
And I've not picked back up Control yet. That says a lot, right? Probably so. I noticed that you and Todd both have had this, because he was talking to me about it as well, and he's just like, I don't know why. I'm not gravitating towards like I
And
thought I would.
I don't know why I did.
I mean, it's totally something that would be right up my alley, and I liking the story. But and even when I would sit down and finally push play, I remembered like I would be enjoying it as I was doing it. I've said this a million times. It was just only for a couple hours at a time, and then I was ready to move on to another game. It wasn't one that I could just play for all day long. But I want to finish it. I don't know what my problem is.
It was just not your jam.
There's just maybe my ADD. I'm like, oh, this is going to require me to like pay attention. And
if you're having to force yourself to play it, you really don't want to.
That's probably it.
I've tried to put that in my head. If I'm forcing myself to play it, then I don't want to. So don't do it. Play something you want to play.
True. But it's like, you got it. You started it. You invested a little bit. Sure, I only paid for it like when it was on super sale. But like still,
I know.
And I love you, Matthew. I want to love it. Because I do like the story. Maybe I just need to find a playthrough so I could watch the story parts and skip the whole pew pew. But that was about all I touched on this week in between work. How about you?
Went back and played a little Blackthorn on the Blizzard Arcade Collection because I guess I haven't played it in a long time, and I just wanted to see if I could get into it. I did choose to go the Super Nintendo route since, the definitive version isn't giving me anything extra.
Yeah.
Sons of bitches. So that way I can rewind if I get shot.
There
and
you
then
go.
they can't do nothing about it. So, because honestly, I don't feel like it's adding any, I don't know why my brain's not working today. It's not adding any extra value playing the definitive version.
Okay.
To me, it looks no different. You're not giving me gory graphics and blood. You're just taking away my rewind feature and sticking me with a map. I can figure out the map on my own, which I did several times. Yeah. So I played it. Probably I got through the first world. I forgot when games used to. Remember you had a world and then 4 levels?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what this kind of is in a way. They don't necessarily state it that way.
World 1.3.
Yeah. It's like you'll get to a certain area, you'll move on, and then it'll be like give you a password. So it's like, okay, so this is my password to this section. So I got to the second world somewhere. I didn't finish it, but I'm say middle ways. We'll just say 2, 3, whatever. I did play it for a little while, and then I was like, all right, I'm done. And then I moved on to, I don't know if I said I was playing this last week. I may have Ni no Kuni 2. I think I did.
I want to say yeah, or you had started
Like
it or
I just
downloaded
started
it at least or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I just started it, and I played a little bit more of it. I'd say a lot more of it this week, trying to get into it. I'm assuming, because right now the game seems very linear for this type of RPG, but something tells me it's one of those that kind of starts you down a path just to tell the story, and then it's going to just explode open into this wide world, because I see the map. It's huge. But they've kept me on a very straight and narrow path for now. So I think I'm about to hit a point where it's about to expand.
Yeah, because then I would argue with the RPG of it that they're forcing you down a path.
And I really like the combat. I guess I'm just not into that turn-based, and I have played it. I don't dislike it. I guess I'm just getting into this thing where I want to be able to just fight. Like, I can control the actions of everything going on in the scene in a fight, and I know what I'm doing, and I know what I need to do. And for whatever reason, I feel like the combat in this works best for me the way I play. Like, I'm sure you can play it some other way where you can be more spell-oriented, staying off in the distance, but I like to get in there and just fight.
Yeah.
So this allows me to do that, and I do just fine.
Nice.
I haven't had a problem yet.
Yeah.
So,
Fun.
yeah,
That's what
I'm
they're
enjoying
supposed to
it.
be.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited to see where I get in the story, because I just hit chapter 3. I'm not sure how many chapters there are, because it does kind of do that as far as the story goes. It's kind of gives you chapter limits, which I don't know how that works in the overall grand scheme of things, but again,
see.
I'm waiting to see. It's not disappointed me thus far. It's been very entertaining, and I'm enjoying it. So,
Excellent.
what you got for us in the news?
Let's see. We got a couple of bigger items that I think will generate some fun discussion here. First thing I wrote down, looks like we're having a little bit more of a time with Marvel's Avengers video game here. I know we've already reported about how it's been, kind of a flop, I guess, overall. They've lost more money. The biggest complaints I've seen is that by the time the game starts to actually get really fun, the content is done. Which also is probably what led it to lose its player base pretty rapidly, I would imagine. But, but they're also reporting a loss of $105 million since release.
How the hell?
Which, I don't even know how to wrap my head around that, which means they haven't even recouped development cost, as you would imagine. So it's really at a $67 million loss overall. And then came the talks of what happens for the PS5 version and the upgrade, right? You do get the upgrade for free if you have purchased the last gen version for either console, from what I can find out. Also confirmed that your save file would transfer over. So looking at the next gen, Square Enix did think some fixes were due, right? There's been problems. People have complained. They've been throwing out their suggestions on how to fix the game. So they're fixing it, right? Okay. So from what I heard, the announcement of the next gen version being available on March 18th also comes to the announcement that they're adjusting how fast you can level up in the game.
Good.
Maybe. According to players, it was already fairly fast, right? But not so much, because as they reached endgame, they were saying they were finally getting the cool moves to play around with. And then they just didn't have any content to really go use these new moves on. So the complaint wasn't that they were leveling too fast.
Okay.
So Square Enix was like, but they are leveling up too fast. So they thought it was. So starting on March 18th, with the new upgrade and everything, apparently it'll be even longer for you to level up. So the quick level up and rapid XP game was something they thought was confusing for new players, because each level required about the same amount of XP to progress through, rather requiring for more subsequent levels. So they thought it led to pacing issues, such as skill points that were being rewarded too fast. So it was overwhelming people to not really get to fully flesh out a move before they were earning another one. And then they were earning another one. And it was just too overwhelming for us, you see. So they decided to reduce this. So, to me, it just sounds like they're just trying to stretch content instead of making new content. But what do I know? But players, of course, are pretty upset. They're like, that wasn't what we were saying was wrong. You keep fixing the wrong thing. Fixing, right, in air quotes. You keep fixing the wrong thing. They did come back out, and tried to explain themselves more in a Reddit post, which, by the way, got downvoted so much it was still sitting at 0. Because people were just still not happy with that response. Because it almost seems like you're trying to tell us we're not smart enough to figure out what moves we want to do, and we're getting too overwhelmed. So they even recommended, if you want to have a level 50 character by March 18th, guess get to the grind now so your character's level 50 before it happens. They're telling you. So you're going to basically make them wear out of your game before a new part of the game.
Yeah.
I haven't played it.
That's stupid.
So to be fair, but from what I'm reading through, that was not the issue you were having with your game, Square Enix, and this might be the final nail in it, because, next gen's starting to ask for $10 more. Again, if you already have it on the 4 or whatever, this last gen's consoles, right, you get it. You get the upgrade. But they are not happy. I was hard pressed to find one person who was like, "Oh yay, make it more grindy. That's good. Make it more grindy." Mm-hmm. So, we'll see if this game's even still around in a few months. I don't know. Like, the player base has been in the hundreds. That's not how a game can survive.
Look, I think I may have mentioned this before, and I'm going to say it again. I'm a hardcore Marvel person, and even I haven't touched it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Yeah, just looking through it, it's because like you're expecting them to do that with every character before March 18th. I don't know.
No.
Well, maybe I'll keep your voices loud enough that they'll stop it. For those of you who are still loving the game and want to play the game and rather not see newer players, I feel like that would be more frustrating.
I just
It's
stopped
like
playing.
it's taking me forever to level up. I feel like you're setting yourself on a path to finish content before you've gotten all your skills. I don't know. Good luck, Square Enix. Doesn't seem like it's working out so hot for you right now.
That's the problem with these live service games. No one has figured out how to do it properly. They think they've got an idea that's going to sell and that they're going to make all this money.
And
And
the
they
Marvel was supposed to be that easy ticket.
But you know what? I guarantee you the ones, I'm sure that there are some that work. Apex Legends, wasn't that one? That it was kind of like that?
Like the setup, like how the game was played.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Something like
Yeah.
that. I feel the ones that aren't working are the ones that aren't thought through in the right direction. They think, oh, we can make money off of this, and oh, we got characters from Marvel. We'll just smash that idea together, and we're gonna make all the money. Okay, but what's going to keep them coming back? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You got the
They're
Marvel characters. You're
superheroes.
gonna come back.
Yeah.
Just make the fighting and the thing, and they'll come back. No, they won't.
No. Nope. That should be your lesson right here. I don't know. I just feel like they've been telling you what they want. Because now as I started diving through this story, it seemed like this was like the third thing they went to fix. And players were like, you keep fixing the wrong thing. Like, that's not what we're saying is wrong with it.
Well, it's kind of something that Jim Sterling even touches on every now and again, where the companies always seem to let us know what they think we want.
Right.
Like, they aren't listening. They're just like, no, you don't know what you want. We know what you
Single player is
want.
dead, man.
Well, one day it's going to bite them in the ass when they're not making any money.
Well, Godspeed to those still playing the game. I hope it does get better. I hope they start listening to you. And if not, I hope you find another game that you really love and enjoy when this inevitably stops getting development. Frogwares. This was an interesting story. I don't know if you saw this because it was kind of a strange one. So it took me a minute to try to even understand what was going on here. Apparently, this has been going back and forth with Frogwares, the developer of The Sinking City, and the publisher Nacon in regards to releasing the game. So back in like 2019, I think was when this game first launched. And it's just to give it some context here. It was launched in June of 2019. And Frogwares was reporting constant issues with the license holder, which was Nacon at the time. As the development went on, Nacon was accused of missing payments to the developer team, tried to outright steal the IP, which forced Frogwares to fight back and trying to not even getting it put out there at the time. So, cut to February 26th. That's what they're accused of, by the way. Like, we're still, ciphering through the ashes here.
Gotcha.
But, so on February 26th, they found a new version of The Sinking City that was uploaded to Steam and launched. This is where it caught my eye because Frogwares didn't do it. So this is and apparently wasn't the first time that Nacon's tried this. So they stole the IP. Frogwares is saying they cracked and hacked the code to make it able for them to pirate and upload on Steam and cut Frogwares out of it. So of course, Frogwares starts tweeting, do not buy that version of The Sinking City that you're seeing on Steam right now. That's not ours. We did not give them permission. And they even in a blog post go on to detail how they thought they know that Nacon hacked and pirated the game by showing, I don't understand what the code means, but they showed it so people who are in the know, you can go look and see how it was done so that they can get a hold of this game and try to recoup some money off of it. So now this was Alan Falk, I hope I'm saying that right, which is the owner over at Nacon and CEO, told Frogwares, now this is going back to December, that you have 48 hours to upload this game of the Sinking City through whatever site, uploaded for the Steam version, through Game Planet, whatever you got to do. But when they weren't getting payments, it was denied and the ultimatum expired. So Nacon broke the contract, according to them, by just deciding to do it anyway because their contract says they were supposed to get the money, and accusing Frogwares now of just constantly blocking it. It's a really weird mess. And so if you come back to February again, there was another unknown version of the game by Nacon, and Frogwares goes on to say this was their third attempt now to just copy the game and steal it and manipulate the game files to crack and upload it to Steam. So now Nacon's finally spoken out, saying that, of course, it's unjust, Frogwares, that they're just sabotaging their investment. So in a statement, Nacon says they want to set the record straight. These are unjustified accusations. Nacon is contractually the sole exclusive distributor of the Sinking City game on Steam. They did the financial support. They paid their royalties to the tune of 8.9 million euros is what they're saying, including full payment for the version of the game to go on Steam, making a global investment far beyond 10 million euros. So they say they're well within their right to upload this game and recoup the cost. So this seems to be going back and forth. I don't know who's telling the truth here.
Yeah, it sounds like a mess.
It does sound like a mess. And I would imagine they're still going back and forth with like the French courts. So, and of course, I don't know how the laws are in that country and how these things go, but it's turned into a huge freaking mess that it looks like both sides are just like losing money on this game. And I hope it was good.
Yeah, you would hope.
I just, wow. So it took a while to follow the thread of what was going on here. So, oof, good luck. I don't even know. Like, I don't know enough about either side to know. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I always want to be on the side of the dev, but I also have to remember they could be crappy people too, you know? So I don't really know. So I don't want to speak on the character of Nacon on Frogwares because this was my first real huge exposure to both of the names. But there's a lot of stories if you want to go search it out and try to dig through it yourself, because I have like 6 links right here that I saved for myself as reference to go back to. But Godspeed. I'm going to keep my eye on that one because that's interesting and weird and such a mess.
Sounds like it.
Such a mess. But AMD cards might be getting better for us people. And this is for everyone. Don't just be thinking PC players. We're finally going to benefit. So we've been waiting actually to see if AMD would catch up with NVIDIA, because, you know, they've been coming out with their 3000 series and, you know, they've been getting pirated all over the place and everything. But we wanted them to catch up more with things like DLSS, which, if you don't know, that's deep learning super sampling, which is like real time a sampling AI process, which makes things look better, sharper, clearer, just better without impacting as much power. Like, it doesn't need to pull as much to make this happen. So AMD, as we know, is what the next gen consoles have been using, right? So according to Linus Sebastian over at Linus Tech Tips, I love watching his little video breakdowns on new PC stuff, but gave us kind of a reasoning as to why AMD has yet to come out with this, like on its own, that apparently rather than rushing it through out the door and on one top end card, they want it to be cross-platform in every sense of the word before it happens, meaning they actually want it to run on all their GPUs, CPUs, including the ones inside the consoles. So those of you that even have like the next gen consoles, they about to be getting even better. That'll be getting patched in probably here soon, where you're going to be getting all that nice, sweet little stuff. And then maybe, you know, the GPUs will start coming out, and then those of us PC people can start taking it on. So, like, next gen's just starting to look a little better and better. PS5's going to get their storage tray finally put in there, and then you'll get some better AMD going on inside there. It's going to look pretty. It's going to look pretty. Anywho, what do you think of the new Switch Pro that they've been batting around here with their new OLED screen, supposed to be bigger?
I mean, we did kind of assume this is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
We've been waiting for it. Why not?
Why
I
not?
guess.
I mean, I saw some people complaining, that there was like, it's only 720p and, but the way I saw it broke down was like the OLED apparently is a better screen. Like it makes things look richer according to this. I'm so uncouth. I don't know. Like I haven't had all these side by side. I'm really educated to see how pretty all this stuff is, but it is a bigger screen. They did let us know that, at 720p with that size,
What,
7-inch screen, but they are saying that when docked, it should be able to go to 4K, or that is the hope. So that would be a step up, right? Well, they made a deal with Samsung for these OLED screens, so it looks like this is going through. So they're working together. I guess Samsung, the one thing that I read was kind of like they had these screens. I don't know what that says, and then Nintendo's like, oh, but by the way, so they're in an agreement here to make more of these. The hope is to start mass production in June, from what I read, with the hope of around 1 million units ready for the initial launch month, and as reporting suggests, Samsung and Nintendo working together on this. They're saying once docked, it should do 4K. But I couldn't tell whether it's scaling or native. I'm assuming scaling, but I just don't know yet. So they haven't even started working on it yet. But cool, especially for handheld fans. I think that's probably like a big win, personally. But
I mean, we're talking about Nintendo here now. Whatever they do, I really don't want to make this sound so bad, but they're cheap. They're cheap, and they're not. And I don't mean that like they make cheap products, but
I think
they
they
are
try
not
to keep it more economical.
Right.
Yeah.
So everything that's going into this, it's not going to be a $600 Switch that they're going to force down your throat. It's going to be more like, hey, what can we do to give the people what they want without breaking the bank?
Right.
So
and that they could still afford and have. Yeah. So we'll see. I still got the original Switch. I don't play it nearly enough to like go on out and grab this one. But I think people just patience, give it time. And I think it's going to look just fine. Just because you have other things. But let's move on to a few quick hits, because I definitely had a few quick hits that I think were kind of interesting this week. As you could tell, like the beefy news didn't seem like a lot, but it was big and confusing and messy. So let's just talk about some tomfoolery.
All right.
In my love for trashing EA over The Sims, they announced kits this week. What's a kit? So we have expansion packs. We have game packs. We have stuff packs. We now have kits. For $5 a piece, you can get shorter experiences. Oh, yay.
What?
They came out. Yeah. You could buy all three, and it's more expensive than a game pack. There you go. Yay. You keep figuring it out. So you could get Bust the Dust, which is... It actually adds gameplay where dust happens in the house. You can vacuum. Even little dust bunnies will happen, which the dust bunnies were kind of cute. I'll give you that. But I don't know if $5 cute, but it was cute. And then there's the Throwback Fit Kit, which just is a bunch of 90s fitwear.
Okay.
And then Country Kitchen Kit, which is the country kitchen set and swatches. All for $5 each.
Oh, only for $5 each. Okay.
And if you're in Australia, it's even more.
Oh, wow.
Because I was watching a reviewer who lived in Australia, and rightfully so, complaining that it was $7.99 for them, Australian. So they're paying $25 for all three kits. So whatever, EA. Yeah. I'm not doing it, but whatever. They keep getting worse. It just keeps getting worse. There's no bottom to this. Anywho, for some good stuff for indie games, Valheim has now surpassed 5 million copies sold. GG. I really got to play it. I've been seeing some stuff on Twitter from like builds and stuff that people are doing. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I love to see little games like this. We probably didn't even expect anything to happen, just like flourish and go crazy out of control, and it was great. This was fun. So Sony has patented a way of turning bananas and other objects into controllers.
Okay. What? Why? What? Wait a minute. I did see something about that. What? Yeah. What the hell is that?
So what it is players would use a camera that they're creating that would scan objects for the system, and then you can use that object in game for specific functions. So apparently this was their answer to complaints about, add-ons and game peripherals are too expensive. Well, now you could just use a banana, Sony says. But actually what they patented was the process of actually scanning and using these objects and everything. I just thought it was hilarious that the article was like, Sony patented a banana for a controller. I'm like, what now? So clickbait, it worked. Yeah. But so it really seems it's just the tech that was patented. But yeah, that was pretty funny. But I would be kind of interested to see how this would work coming out, because I'd be scanning so many little objects just to see what I could get away with. And y'all would too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, we would.
And we already know what objects people are going to be playing controllers with, because humans.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, so BAFTA announced their nominees for the Game Awards this week.
Nice segue.
And as you might imagine, The Last of Us 2 cleaned up with 13 nominations, of course, with Ashley Johnson and Laura Bailey earning their own for Best Performance, along with Jeffrey Pierce, Shannon Woodward, and Troy Baker garnering one each for supporting roles. Ghost of Tsushima picked up 10 noms, and Hades got 8 all on their own. Miles Morales, you might be happy to see, was garnering 7. And Animal Crossing New Horizons is getting 5. So will be interesting to see who cleans up on the BAFTA Game Awards.
All right.
I think we probably already know if it's like the last Game Awards, like The Last of Us is just cleaning up. Rightfully so, but they're cleaning up. And we did get another casting announcement for Borderlands with Ariana Greenblatt to play Tiny Tina, who is best known as young Gamora in Avengers Infinity War.
Oh, okay. That's who that was.
So she's going to be Tiny Tina now, joining the rest of them in Borderlands. So perfect. And then in what happened in Twitch this week, they had 2, actually. 2. One I don't completely fully understand, so I'm just going to throw that out there before hate comes my way, because this took a turn and I didn't even know it was a thing until I saw it this week. But firstly, came a new set of ads on Twitch this week, apparently. Got people wondering what the hell. They ran ads that appears to be anti-union for the Amazon company. So just about people working for Amazon, how happy they were that it's fine. They've been treated well. They don't need a union, blah, blah, blah. On Twitch.
Bullshit.
On Twitch. Apparently, this was in response to organizing efforts being made in Alabama. So I guess Alabama's trying to unionize, and Amazon is making sure everybody understands they're so happy the way they are.
Sure.
We don't need all this. It's fine, which caused everyone to be like, oh, please. So they did take it off after a week, apologize that wasn't supposed to run on Twitch. I don't know who pushes those buttons, but people who work for Twitch. But here we are. And the other controversy, which I looked up some, because again, I hadn't heard of it, in response for Women's History Month. They had...
Oh, shit.
It was in response to wanting to be more inclusive, I guess, but in their tweet, they spelled woman with an X where the A would go. Now, I'll be honest with you, I've never seen this spelling. Never. So this was my first experience even seeing it, which apparently I guess was just outside people trying to force an inclusive title that would include all women, trans women, non-binary, just all women. But the backlash I was seeing was that trans women and everything were like, but now that is just excluding us. Why wouldn't you still just say women? So I'm not even sure where the women with the X spelling started or its origin roots. They, of course, immediately turned around and apologized because they thought they were being inclusive and didn't realize. It's kind of like Latinx. We forced that on them thinking we were being woke. And most of them are like, but just that's Latina, like that's the word, like it's fine, quit throwing this on here for us. So it sounds like it was like a group of people who wanted to be woke, who thought they were being inclusive, and in hindsight just kind of backhanded the whole movement on what was going on there. So again, like I said, I'd never seen it before, so I didn't even really understand what it was. And then all in the same day I found out it was wrong. So I don't, I just wonder who they have like looking anything over sometimes. So I feel like they just push it out there and then get the pushback, which I mean, I guess you can kind of respect, willing to just like try. And then that's how we all learn. But I don't know. It's been a lot this year.
Yeah.
It's been a lot this year. It's time to proofread.
I do want to piggyback off that. Just a thought in my head. 2 or 3 things that you just mentioned. All, we're sorry. It was an accident. Do you start to get this feeling that there's either one or two things happening? Either someone is so ignorant that they don't realize what they're putting out there is going to offend someone or stir up something.
Right.
Or they are very aware, and this is almost like messaging, like an SOS or something like that, like a little secret decode that you're just throwing out there real quick, knowing that it's going to piss people off, but you're trying to get those certain people aware to be like, hey, this is us. We're
like
doing
that
this.
Bad PR is still good PR. What do they say that? No PR is bad
like
PR.
It'd be some super racist thing, the PogChamp thing. I know this isn't, I'm going to use this as an example.
Oh yeah, that deviated just because of him, but yeah, I see.
Right. But I mean, just to use this as an example, hypothetically, say that never existed, and then everybody knew this dude was a racist prior to that or whatever, and then suddenly there's this new emote that comes out and it's PogChamp and it's that dude, and everybody's like, no, dude, that dude's a racist, and they're like, oh, we're sorry, but they put it out there knowingly and willingly, and it's almost like to say, we're with you. We're with you. I don't know. I know that's conspiracy
I'd
theory.
be more apt inclined to believe that if they knew what they were doing, would be just simply to keep their mentions up. I mean, if you think about it, it's still earned media.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the times that's how you make your money and stuff too, is how many people are talking about you, engaging, tagging. All of it's earned media somehow, and some people choose to do it that way instead of, the harder way, which would be to actually try to do it in an honorable way. I don't know.
I guess
Amazon, so I tend to already have like a bias in how I think about them already. So they could be doing a fantastic thing, and I would have a hard time believing they were behind it.
I understand drama can stir up more eyes on something, but I feel that is a gamble on your reputation. And if you're willing to gamble that in hopes that but you know what? At the same time, how many times have we seen that? Blizzard, Activision, all these piece of shit companies, and they get ran through the mud, and then before you know it, they're right back on top.
Yeah, we do tend to forget things pretty quickly when it's something else we want.
Mm-hmm.
Like how many people complain about EA and still, they suckered me in with this, and we buy it again anyway. I'm not buying your kits.
Yeah. I'm not going to play your game anymore because you tried to rip me off.
Paralives is coming
Wars.
along very well, and I'm very excited for it. Like, I'm getting their little update. So Paralives, my simmers, Paralives. They probably already know. We're like a cult. Anyway, so Elden Ring got a little leak this week, if that was something you were excited about. I don't know if I have an opinion on it, but it looks like a From Software game, and the quality of the video is kind of garbo, so it was kind of hard to tell. Like, it seemed like, someone using a 90s camera pointed at a 90s TV and then, like, uploaded it or something. So, I mean, I can't really tell how much better it looks from that, since it was, like, a legit leak, like, watching a movie from a camera inside there, But there you go. It's out there if you want to look it up. Go look it up. Got a little bit of a leak. And now it's official, or at least in the States anyway. ZeniMax deal went through. So it is officially now a part of Microsoft. And now, siblings, here's a question. Do you think these games will stay cross-platform? Or do we think Microsoft's going to start keeping some just to their own little selves? I'm curious what you think.
I personally think that at first we'll still see a little bit of cross-platform, and slowly it will pull back until it's like, no, we're going to keep... Because I know Deathloop was already kind of in process.
Right. There was a couple of them.
Yeah. So I think we're going to have to get to that first new game that wasn't being developed for any of those.
Fulfilling contracts, yeah.
Yeah. Just go ahead and do all that, and then once that's done. So it may be a while before we actually see it because of these contracts. But, yeah, absolutely. They're just going to be like, no.
It would make sense.
Fallout. Now only on Xbox.
Oh, I can hear the cries now.
And PC. Why? You can't play Fallout anywhere else but on the Xbox Series X.
I personally am of the ilk that make games for people to play and don't gate them behind anything. But I get why companies do it, because they want to make money. If they have the better first-party titles, you're most likely going to buy their console, right? Like, I get it. But, like, I don't understand. Like, I make games, you want people to play them. Let them play them on what they got. But that's just me. I want everyone to enjoy everything.
Oh, no, I agree. And I am not going to buy something new. I'm just not going to do it. But I'm not upset that we're losing Bethesda either, because hit or miss. I mean, there are some games I'm getting that I'm just like, yeah, I had some fun with that. Fallout 4. That was the first Fallout game I ever played.
I
had
liked
some
the
fun.
Skyrim and some of the Elder Scrolls that they did. Like, I liked those.
Yeah.
And we just learned to accept the little bugs as features. It was endearing for a while.
Hey,
Unless it
I
broke the game.
exploited the hell out of a bug on Fallout 4. Yeah. just to get, because I turned into a badass, let me tell you.
Yeah.
I loved it. I was like, I fought death claws with a death claw. That's how
Right?
much of a badass
How
I was.
badass is that? I'm killing you with what I ripped from your friends.
Right.
Off of them. Yeah.
I loved it.
It was
I had a
great.
lot of fun with it.
No, and I guess it's easy for me to say sit in a position where it doesn't really matter what it goes on. I guess at this point I can play it because I still don't think they would do Xbox only exclusive, but who knows? Who knows? If they need to sell their
see.
console, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens, because we also have always said I felt like Xbox's biggest downfall was that they didn't really have any exclusives to just that console, and outside of like Halo. But I think now that's coming to PC too, or whatever. So whatever. I think it still behooves them to do both. You're making money off your console for people who don't do PC gaming, and then you're making money off of those of us who do. I think it's a win-win.
Look, I'll say this. The day Mario becomes an all-platform character, then it's all over. It's all over.
That's it. I checked the sky on that day.
Yeah.
Make sure it ain't coming down.
I got two little quickets that I jotted down, just little notes that I wanted to bring up. One, and we may have talked about this, but I can't remember. I don't think we have. But there's a rumor floating around that Maneater may be getting some DLC.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know to what degree. Apparently, they've been tweeting some weird shit on their Twitter. Like, the shark. No, it's a bird with a shark head. And the horse with a shark head. I don't know what this is implying. Maybe our shark is going to grow legs. Or wings. Or some weird shit. I don't know.
That would
I don't
be
know.
hilarious.
But we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But it's just... Apparently, Maneater's supposed to be getting DLC. So I'm a little excited about that. Second of all, Freakpocalypse, the Cyanide and Happiness game, finally releases on March 11th.
Oh, good. I wonder how I missed that. I should check my email because I know I'm on their list. I just haven't checked my
March
email in a while.
11th, if I remember my date
11th.
correctly. Yes. So we have a date. So I maybe not next week, but the week after, I may be doing a review for that.
Nice.
And then maybe we can get some people back on the show. Maybe.
There you go. Maybe.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right. I have a truth or trash for you.
Okay.
And it's probably one you heard.
All right.
But I kind of dug it. So let's see what your thoughts are. I think I already know, but it could be fun. So we've been talking about how leaks have been coming out about PS4 games coming to PC. And with all the talks of the PC ports coming, do we now have confirmation, Steven, that God of War and Ghost of Tsushima are the next in line for the PC port?
Ooh.
That will be the next two.
I could almost say yes to one of them.
Okay.
I'm going to say, all right, look, I guess I'll say truth and trash.
That's fair. We can make it two different ones.
Yeah, because from a business standpoint, if I'm in the position of Sony, I need to gate one. And that one is going to be God of War. That's your console seller.
Yeah.
Now, Ghost of Tsushima could also be as such, but I feel that it's also one that you could kind of let go. You're like, look, we got our mileage out of this. Let's let it float and we'll move it over here and see what else we can get out of it. But God of War, you got to have one you got to hang on to.
I would think so. But we'll see.
So I'm going to say that I guess God of War would be, if it did show up on PC, then maybe I don't understand business.
Right.
But I feel like you need one. And I guess with Ragnarok down the line, it's coming here pretty soon. Maybe they could afford to let that one go for, now. Since
who's
it's
to say
old.
they still wouldn't make it like a year on Sony and then be working on the port while it's making money off the console?
Yeah.
Not to throw you off, I shouldn't be leading you. What is your thoughts?
No. I'm gonna stick with God of War, trash, Ghost of Tsushima, truth.
True. Got it. Let me hit save here before I accidentally don't.
I got.
Go ahead. All right. I do actually have a weird news too. I know.
Okay.
I'm throwing you all off today. Like, what? She's hitting more stuff. What's going on? So this week, well, actually it wasn't this week, last month, but it caught my eye this week. So we're running with it. But an indie dev went and got themselves banned last month from Steam. The crime? Trying to cheat the system, but not in the way you would think. As most PC gamers know by now, and anybody probably who's ever looked at Steam, they have a review system, right? When you first go to the homepage of the game, if you look to the right, there's always that description of the game, right? The name of the developing and the publishing team, and then below that would be the overall ratings from the players, which usually ranges from like overwhelmingly positive to mixed to negative. Well, the developer got a little cheeky and decided to try out naming themselves very positive. That's right. The dev team named themselves very positive to make it, at a glance, you look at it, you're like, very positive. Oh, because they're all in the same font, the same color, and in the same area. So Steam was like, like we've caught on to, this isn't their first rodeo. All right, with developers probably trying to pull one over on Steam. But they have been banned for review manipulation since their name appears directly below the average player scores for the game. Note, like we said, same font, same color. If you've never been on Steam, go look at it, because if you're not reading the little gray line, you probably would just see that very positive and move on with your life. But the team is appealing because,
Sure.
That's our name. That's our name. But this is definitely in their area of expertise with Steam and Valve. So I guess get ready, very positive, and see what you think. But it's still their platform. It's still their business. So unfortunately, they can still do this. So
let me make sure I'm understanding this correctly. They name themselves very positive, thereby tricking people into thinking their game is very positive,
in the reviews,
and then therefore buying it. So manipulating sales, not necessarily reviews, because people can still review the game,
right?
But you're at least manipulating a sell out of them because, like, oh, okay, this is very positive.
What would have been funny is if people review bombed it, so it said very positive and overwhelmingly negative, and people could have been like, "What? Wait, what? How does that even work?" Like their brain just explodes. But yeah, so I always developers. Oh, I do. Before we go to your headliner, though, I want to end on a really fun little story, a nice story. The devs behind the game of Ghost of Tsushima has gotten a lot of praise, obviously, for this. But they're about to be made permanent ambassadors of the real island of Tsushima. The honor is getting bestowed for honoring the name and history of the island. The game director Nate Fox and creative director Jason Connell will become permanent tourism ambassadors of the city in Nagasaki. The city will make the occasion with the ceremony held remotely, of course, because of, everything. And they will collab with Sony Interactive Entertainment to set up a new tourism campaign based on the game, which is designed to help fans learn more about the island and its landmarks. So in a statement from the mayor of Tsushima, Mayor Hiroki Hidekatsu, I think that's right.
I like
Hidekatsu. He says, Fox and Connell spread the name and history of Tsushima to the whole world in such a wonderful way. Even a lot of Japanese people do not know the history of the Genko period. So when it comes to the world, the name and the location of Tsushima is literally unknown. So I cannot thank them enough for telling our story with such phenomenal graphics and profound stories. So once travel restrictions are lifted, the mayor said he would like to invite them all, out and the entire Sucker Punch team to Tsushima. That hope it would make them, love Tsushima maybe even a little bit more. And he wants to appoint the whole Sucker Punch SIE and game users who were involved in the work as tourist ambassadors. So I feel like they've really helped that. Remember, because there was they had that. It got destroyed because of some weather, and then the players of the game, donated to get it rebuilt. And it's so lovely when a game comes around like that. Who would have thought such an impact? He probably had no idea what any of this even was, and then thanks them in such a wonderful way. So
it's a wonderful
nice story.
Yeah, it's a wonderful testament to proper game design. Because they didn't present this world as some drab, lifeless world to explore. It was just filled with such beauty and just meticulous creation that I couldn't. I wanted to explore every nook and cranny because they made it so wonderful.
Yeah. And apparently very on the nose with a lot of the stories they were telling from that period and everything, and really appreciated it coming out in such a wonderful way. Now I need to go back and play it. It's not a type of game that it would normally be for me, but just to experience some of it, just to see now, because it's done such good things.
Yeah.
I feel like it's done such good things.
I hope that they have an opportunity to make a second one and do it. I don't know. I know they would do right by it. I don't really know what I expect. I hope to see this world again in some way, even if it's not in Tsushima. Maybe we go explore another province. Is it a province?
Or
prefecture?
Don't know how to break it down there. That's sorry.
I don't know either. I'm
not
sorry.
sure
I don't know the cultures all that well.
Well,
even though I love it.
Different states call things different. You got parishes, counties. I just don't know what they call it there.
Anyway, I want to see it again in some form or fashion.
And who knows? Maybe after they get to go visit and have whatever this grand tour that the mayor would like to do with them, might string up some more. I mean, if they were already this creative and amazing with it, there you go. But that's all I got.
All right.
That's all I got. Yeah. Scroll back through. I'm such a professional.
Are you ready for this week's headliner?
I'm always ready. What do we got?
Well, you see, I was thinking I'm having a hard time. Not that I'm having a hard time with writing these headliners. I'm just having a hard time getting the time to write them. I feel like my time is starting to slip away from me a little bit, and maybe that's why I'm kind of in this mood here lately. But that's not your fault, people. But it seems like this is what our headliner is. It seems like in recent years we've been seeing numerous anniversaries popping up surrounding some of our favorite video game characters because we're starting to hit those milestones.
We're getting old.
We are.
Yeah.
Mario just had his 35th. Zelda wasn't too far off. I think 30, 35.
But I mean, Mario was in his 30s then.
Mega Man, I know had a 30th anniversary not that long ago.
Yeah.
Those are just to name a few. And while some of these would make for very interesting topics to dive into, today I'm going to be talking about the history of another long-running and well-beloved franchise, mainly because Leigh suggested it.
I helped.
And that franchise is Pokémon, which is celebrating their 25th anniversary. So I'm not that old yet. Or am I?
I mean, we did talk about the other anniversary. We're older.
That's true. Now, I'm not sure I'm what you would call a casual fan, but I'm also not quite sure I'm defined as a hardcore fan either. I've played several entries in the series. I got caught up at one point or another in the gotta catch them all aspect, where it's just like I'm in the game, so I just might as well catch them all.
Right?
I'm there. Whether or not I do anything with it doesn't matter. I gotta catch them all. I can name quite a few Pokemon, some series characters, other related elements, but I do not think of myself as a hardcore fan. But I'm not quite casual. I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm a
little above average.
Casual core. Hard casual.
Casual core.
Yeah.
We just created our new version of Gyros, right? Trademark.
But for whatever it was, something about this game caught my attention. Something about it hooked me in a way that I wasn't expecting. But I didn't gravitate toward it immediately. I don't remember seeing Pokemon and being like, oh man, I gotta play that. It was some other element that introduced me to it. And I'm like, okay. All right, I'll look into this. Let me check it out. Let me see. So, my question that I asked myself is, why did I become fixated on this and dedicate so much of my time to this obsession? Because I did. I made lists. Damn it.
Oh, wow.
Okay?
Got it.
This was 20 years ago, but I know I did it. I was just
probably
like,
had to make lists. You couldn't cheat.
Yeah, we because I didn't know who I had, and I was like, well, I got to have this one, I got to use my checklist, and I got to get this one, I got to get this one, and all that. So, as we're looking into this, I thought the answers may be found in the origins of the series. Now, many people who are familiar with Pokemon may just credit Nintendo for creating the iconic series, but in actuality, that honor goes to Satoshi Tajiri.
Yeah.
I don't know why I couldn't just say it immediately. It took me a second to just focus in.
It was like the mayor's
Satoshi.
name. Yesterday I nailed it. Today I'm like, blah, blah, blah.
Yep. Satoshi Tajiri. And hopefully I'm saying that, or maybe it's Tajiri. I don't know. I'm just going to say Tajiri, people. If it's wrong,
it's just
correct
not a
me.
sound we make in our language, so I don't know how to do it.
At least I'm not saying Tajiri.
Right.
Like those people
We're
who
trying.
say, those people who deep south eating Chinese food is the funniest thing. Man, let me get some of them there egg rolls and that General Tuso chicken. That's what it's called, ain't it?
Chicken?
Tuso, that's what it's called, ain't it? That Tuso, it's got the T and the S, I don't understand. Tuso.
I feel like I just went back to my family dinner like, oh no.
I got it all day around here. I got to hear all that crap. Anyway, as a child, Tajiri-san was an avid bug collector and had dreams of becoming an entomologist. As a teenager, video games began to catch his attention as they were fast becoming popular worldwide. This obsession took his focus away from his bug collecting and school and other responsibilities. In fact, video games initially prevented him from graduating high school, something he did rectify with makeup classes. And while to some this may come off as a very addictive behavior, during this time, Tajiri was actually using that obsession and planning his own video games. Now, the goal of entomology was now gone from his mind, and in its place was the study of computer science. Not only that, but Tajiri had begun writing and publishing his own fan magazine, or fanzine, that was all about video games and arcades. This fanzine was known as Game Freak. Tajiri was soon approached by Ken Sugimori, who saw the magazine and wanted to become its illustrator, and did so during its run from 1981 to 1986. In 1989, the duo evolved Game Freak into a video game development company and released their first game, Quinty, or also known as Mendel's Palace, on the Famicom and SNES, respectively.
Okay.
Now, in less than a year, the idea for Pokemon had come to Tajiri. The Game Boy had recently been released, and one of its features that he took note of was the ability to communicate between two systems via a link cable. The love he had for bugs kind of resurfaced in this point because he was thinking about this link cable, and he thought about bugs crawling between the cables in between both Game Boys, and that idea of like little spiders or maybe something else. I would assume spiders on a web.
Yeah.
Is what he was kind of visualizing. This vision also kind of lent the idea and kind of sparked the idea of trading. Now, none of this was actually anything but a base idea. Like, he was just like, oh man, yeah, things going back and forth. Oh yeah, trading, that would be kind of neat. And so nothing was really concrete. It was just these fleeting ideas of what could be great. In fact, he actually took just these ideas and pitched them to Nintendo, but they didn't quite understand like what it was. He was just like, okay, and what are we going to do with that? Mm-hmm. But they also could see the potential as something being there. So they gave him the opportunity to explore these ideas. There just wasn't quite the concept of Pokemon, just the ideas around it. Now, under the mentorship of Shigeru Miyamoto, everybody knows Miyamoto-san, I would hope at this point, Tajiri began developing concepts that he would incorporate and I got tongue-tied.
It's hard.
They are. I don't know why I'm struggling today. I slept. Tajiri began developing concepts that would incorporate the ideas he had into a full-fledged game. See, there we go. Now, building off of those initial concepts, another love from his childhood seeped into the game, which was Ultraman. Now, if you don't know, and a lot of casual people who aren't familiar with monsters and the kaiju and all that won't know, Ultraman was a very popular kids show in Japan in the late 1960s that featured giant monsters because, they were the big craze, and Ultraman was like the giant hero who'd fight the monsters and save the day, and it was very much that basic monster of the week, and it's like, who's going to save him? Ultraman. And he just shows up, but they also kind of gave him this I guess like a weakness, because your hero's got to have a weakness. Well, he can only be Ultraman for 3 minutes, or if he doesn't defeat the monster in 3 minutes, he's going to be dead. It's weird.
Yeah. Wow.
But I get it.
It's very stressful.
Yeah. But you just see the light flashing. It's like, oh no, he's going to disappear soon, and then right before you know it,
the last
dun, 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 Ultraman
down. Yeah.
Anyway, what concept he actually lifted from this were the idea of giant monsters in capsules. Now, Ultraman had the guy who could turn into Ultraman had something called a beta capsule, and then when he wanted to turn into Ultraman, it was just like release it, and then he's Ultraman. And then some of the other monsters kind of had this capsule-esque thing too. Mm-hmm. So he saw this idea, or he thought about this idea. It's like, what if you could keep the monsters in the capsule, and we could just capture them and release them out of capsules. So there you go. There's the Pokeball idea.
There you go.
Having all these ideas, because with everything that we mentioned up to this point, you'd think this would have all come together pretty quickly, right?
Well, it sounds like it's lining up pretty nicely. Yeah.
You got a bunch of great ideas. Unfortunately, like most great concepts, it wasn't an easy road. Now, one feature that Tajiri was focused on was trading and community and how to make that aspect viable within one game. The idea of trading to work in a community of friends, there must be some form of demand to trade, correct? Because if you can get what I can get, then what's the point?
Why do I need to come to you? Yeah.
Yeah. If you and I play the same game, catch the same Pokemon, it's no big deal. But if you release 2 versions of the same game, each featuring Pokemon exclusive to one of the other games, then those who need the other Pokemon would seek out players with the other version and trade for those Pokemon. See, this concept was really unheard of at the time as far as games go. Mm-hmm. But it would be the norm throughout the series. It took 6 years to bring this collection of ideas and form it into something tangible. Numerous employees quit the company. The company itself nearly went bankrupt.
Oh, damn.
Some developers were working without pay. Tajiri himself forfeited his salary just to keep things afloat. And it took an investment from Creatures Incorporated, which is best known for the Earthbound series in Japan, to help Game Freak complete this game. And at this point, you're probably thinking, well, the rest is history. They got it. They got it going
now. Yeah.
But it wasn't that simple. That 6-year production time caused the game to release at a time when no one was paying attention to the Game Boy. Game Boy had pretty much ran its course, and a lot of people were writing it off as a dead console. And in fact, even Nintendo was kind of working on its successor at the time. So when Pokemon Red and Blue, or Pokemon Green instead of Blue as it was released in Japan, came out, it sold a respectable number of copies, but it wasn't exactly setting the world on fire. Tajiri began to believe that it was all of his hard work and sacrifice were going to just be for naught. But wouldn't you know it, a little glitch occurred. You see, this little glitch may have very well saved the franchise from total obscurity. Because right after the game's release, one of the game's programmers and monster designers, Shigeki Morimoto, had created an extra monster. The game was only meant to have 150, but there was just enough space to insert a little bonus. So Morimoto added his creation as an Easter egg, only meant for his colleagues. Nobody was supposed to know about this little Pokemon, just the people in the office. But a glitch caused this little hidden Pokemon known as Mew to be exposed to the public.
Oh no.
And when this secret was leaked, this led to speculation and rumors amongst the gaming community, which caused a frenzy, which led to more people and more gamers coming on board because they wanted to see if they could find this secret Pokemon. And it just became rabid.
I love this!
And before you knew it, the game became a bona fide hit, all thanks to Mew.
Wow, I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, do you think that dev just got like the biggest hug?
He should have gotten a bonus.
Right? We should know him on every game now.
Yeah. Once Nintendo saw their money train rolling in, it was only a matter of time before they began to capitalize on it. Before long, there were books, cartoons, movies, card games, toys, clothes, you name it. Pokemon was everywhere. All of this was compounded by the extreme marketability of one of the most popular Pokemon characters in existence, Pikachu, who was designed by Atsuko Nishida and Ken Sugimori, and obviously became the face. I was about to say the face of the face of the franchise.
But I mean franchise, I guess.
The franchise. In fact, a special color version of the original game, Pokemon Red and Blue, which became Pokemon Yellow, was created to start players with a one-of-a-kind talking Pikachu that was popularized in the animated series. So you get to hear him go, Pika, Pika.
And it's quite cute. It worked.
Oh, yeah, and it sold well. 3 years after the game's original release, the second-generation game Silver and Gold released, featuring 100 or more, I haven't confirmed that, so don't at me, Pokemon.
Or Adam with the answer.
Yeah. I think it was at least 100 more Pokemon and a new world to explore. This trend has continued in recent years, going from every handheld platform from the Game Boy to the 3DS. The series is branched off with numerous spin-offs that worked in varying degrees. You had games like Pokemon Snap and Pokemon Stadium, two of my absolute favorites, that focused on specific elements. In fact, I'll even say this, Pokemon Stadium was probably what got me into the game series.
Okay.
Because what they did is they create Pokemon Stadium come out on the N64, and if you remember, the N64 controller had a thing on the back that you could stick in for game packs, but they also had this new special thing they designed for this game, and it was to insert your Pokemon game into this game pack, into your controller, which then you could take the Pokemon you raised and play them in Pokemon Stadium and fight with.
Okay, see? Yeah, fun.
Yeah,
Genius.
to me, it was
At
just
the time,
like,
especially, too.
yeah, because you raised these Pokemon, you built them to be fighters, the best there ever, and suddenly they are now your gods on, like, you're fighting your characters you created, you raised, they are on screen, going from little 8-bit nothings on a Game Boy to a glorious looking 64-bit screen. Your names, your
die
everything.
Forever if you lose?
No. It's just
okay,
they
I got
pass
really
out.
concerned for a minute because I was like, man, I put all that effort into raising them. I'd be so heartbroken.
Oh, what I'll tell you what happened, and people got pissed at me. They didn't want to play the game with me anymore.
Aw.
But I had raised a Mewtwo to be godlike. Okay, he could use Psychic. He could use Thunder. He could use Ice Beam. He could use Heal. He was a god. So
Yeah.
anything, very few Pokemon could stand up to my Mewtwo. Like, he was that powerful.
Yeah, I could see that pissing off a lot of people.
And people are like, you can't use him, man. And I'm like, but he's mine. It's like, but you're just going
Raised
to
them
win,
according
dude.
to the rules of the game.
Yeah. It's not fair when you're using it. It's like, yeah, but
Feed yours more. I don't know.
it's like, get your own, man. Learn how to fight and counter my Mewtwo. Anyway, that's beside the point. But yeah, those had very specific elements to the game, and then just kind of explored a different approach to it, while other games like Mystery Dungeon and Detective Pikachu, they took familiar characters and put them in brand new situations. And like any popular franchise, controversy is to follow. Here's a Cliff's Notes rundown of certain well-known, or maybe not well-known, just some things that happened.
Yeah.
Fundamental Christians attack the series for promoting evolution.
Okay, I can see that.
Because you evolve your Pokemon.
Yeah.
A lawsuit was filed against Nintendo because 2 9-year-old boys developed a gambling problem due to the trading card game.
Okay.
Numerous episodes of the series had to be pulled for causing epileptic seizures.
Okay, well.
Saudi Arabia banned the series for promoting Zionism.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
PETA says that the series
geez.
promotes animal cruelty.
Well, it's PETA.
Jinx, which is a Pokemon from the first generation, is a racist stereotype. Or was
it
at one
though?
point. Huh?
Is it? though?
Yeah.
I mean, because we are starting to find,
well,
not starting to, but
if you look at it, and I know they've recently redesigned it so it doesn't look, but it still kind of does. And it was kind of supposed to be like this woman looking, like a female looking Pokemon with long hair and big eyes and got big lips, but it's got a big black face.
oh yeah. That's
And if you
probably
look-
gotta go.
Yeah, you look at it and you're like, it looks like some of those caricatures from
like
the time.
from cartoons in like the 20s, 30s, 40s.
And-
maybe.
And I won't I'll be honest with you, I could be wrong. I could be absolutely wrong, but I don't think there was that intent when it was designed. I think it was just happened to be like, if you start looking at it, be like, we might need to change that, which they did.
Maybe actually, somebody should have proofread just one more time or something. Yeah. Look it over.
But I know that they changed her face to purple now, so okay. I guess it doesn't look as... It's not,
I was going to say, with those features, that does kind of seem...
Yeah. But so on and so on and so on. All these things have happened along with so many others that I couldn't take all day to read through the controversies. Maybe we'll do that on an episode later on. The controversies of games that are so interesting.
Oh, I think they're hilarious a lot of the times. Yeah.
But despite all this, the series has endured due to a loving and rabid fan base. New games are releasing this year, taking the series to new heights not yet seen before, while old favorites are getting new remakes to expand on beloved ideas. Like, I can't wait for new Pokemon Snap. I don't know why. I enjoy taking the pictures, but it's so fun. Yeah. So even if people are stupid enough to walk into traffic just to catch a shiny Bulbasaur, the series will endure. With nearly 900 Pokemon to catch and train, many will continue to be the very best, like no one ever was. To catch them is their real test. To train them is their cause. You teach them, and they'll teach you. Pokémon. Gotta catch 'em all. Pokémon.
It's like, I hope you're so gonna play like the music over that.
Dun, dun. But there you go.
Our Braveheart message. That was fun. Thank you for that. I enjoyed that one thoroughly. I hope you listeners at home or wherever you're listening enjoyed it too. I really liked it. And see, I didn't know if I would enjoy it, having not really played a lot of the games. That was an interesting story.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's our show, I guess. So happy 25th anniversary, Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
And for all the stuff that's coming out this year in celebration for it. Should be a good year for you fans. And if you like virtual concerts, keep checking back on those.
Yeah.
But that's our show. Of course, you can still hit us up sometime on Twitter at Super Mega Crash, or you can send us an email to supermegacrash@gmail.com. Don't forget, you can find us on Instagram to view all the weekly icon art that Steven puts his time and love into. You can support the show by liking and leaving reviews on your preferred platform, and even going to patreon.com/Pencil and Paper Productions. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell anyone who'll listen. You can find us on Pencil and Paper Podcast Network, or search Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon Music, and even youtube.com/Pencil Paper Productions. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Lacey Finley.
And I'm Stephen White.
You can join us again next time, Super Mega Crash siblings. But until then,
game on.
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.